Is it true that shaking it more than twice is playing with it? Have you considered retirement? Well, this is gonna be very fun. Thanks for these awesome questions, guys.
Hey, RGT 85. Hey, Sean.
Oh my God, it's Stevie Richards! What's up, guys? RGT85 here, and today on the channel we're doing a good old-fashioned AMA, and Ask Me Anything. I took to the Facebook and the Twitter page and said, if you guys have questions, ask me some questions and I will answer them in a video. And we had over 300 questions in a mere 2 hours, so I figured to myself, well, let's go ahead and film this AMA. Now, one of the questions that definitely popped up a lot was YouTube-related stuff. Should I make a YouTube channel? What sort of advice do you have for smaller YouTube gaming channels? So I actually want to explore that towards the end of this video. Obviously, that's sort of the narrative I'm pitching with the thumbnail and the title of this video. So towards the end of the video, we're going to get pretty in-depth with this. But I wanted to go over some of these questions. There was a lot of fun questions, so without any further ado, let's get into it. Andy asks, what are your feelings on Nintendo re-releasing games at seemingly ridiculous prices? I got a lot of the Wii U stuff is being given a second chance, but do you believe the pricing is justified? That's honestly something that I think it's a game-to-game basis, but no, I've been pretty vocal in stuff, you know, talking about Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. I honestly didn't feel like that should have been a $60 release. Obviously, that game, when it came out new on the Wii U, was only $50, so I'm not really quite sure what justified that $10 price increase. Same sort of thing with New Super Mario Bros. Deluxe U. I didn't think that was a $60 game, but a lot of people seem to disagree with me. I thought it should have been like a $40 game. I think if both of those games would have been $40 games, I think a lot more people would have been satisfied with those prices, but who am I to say, because those games are selling really well. There's a lot of people picking them up. Now, could they have sold better if they were at a cheaper price? Maybe, but you know, just in my personal opinion, I would have liked to have seen them as $40 games. Do you still love your arcade 1-up? And if so, have you modified it yet? Here is mine. I do. You know, I have it actually right over there in the corner of my game room, and I've really been enjoying it still. I like to play a couple rounds of Street Fighter every week on it, and I did some basic, very small modifications. I put a blue stripe down the side of it, and I did a little LED mod on it as well. I actually showed that off in a very brief video. But yeah, you know, it's still really fun to play. It's nice to have such a cheap arcade cabinet in terms of pricing, and you know, it's very lightweight as well if I need to move it around or anything. And I think the quality on it is pretty decent. You know, it's not going to be as good as an original arcade cabinet, but original arcade cabinets do have a lot of problems. I'm definitely looking forward to the Final Fight cabinet and the Mortal Kombat cabinet. I'm going to mess around and get a whole fleet of them. But yeah, I've definitely been enjoying mine still, and it's still a lot of fun. Should I get an Xbox One, a PS4 Pro, or should I just wait for the next generation of systems? Now, I'm assuming you do not have a standard PS4 or a standard Xbox One, and if that's the case, it just sort of depends, honestly. Obviously, there's a lot of great games for the PS4 that are console exclusives, games like Spider-Man, games like God of War, and upcoming games like The Last of Us 2, and maybe Death Stranding. I don't know. I'm still on the fence about that. Please just show some damn gameplay of it. But then on the Xbox One, you have things like Games Pass, which I really love because it really gives me a chance to play games that maybe I wouldn't have checked out to begin with. You know, there's such a vast library of games on there. Games from the original Xbox, games from the Xbox 360, current Xbox One games. So it really just sort of depends. I don't think the new generation of consoles, I don't think we'll be seeing them till probably holiday 2020 at the earliest. So there's still a lot of time if you're looking for a complementary console. These consoles often go on sale pretty often. So, you know, it just really depends on what sort of games you like to play. I would just look at the library of both and, you know, figure out if you like those PS4 exclusives. If so, then I would probably pick up a PS4 Pro. If not, if you just want to sort of dabble in these games, then the Xbox One would probably be a better option with things like Game Pass. Martin asks, which GBA or DS Castlevania should they put on the Konami Anniversary Collection? I'm going to be very selfish. Now, there's only 4 slots left for Castlevania games, and I want to see something like Rondo of Blood on there, so that's going to take 1 spot. I want to see Symphony of the Night on there, so that's going to take 1 spot. So really, there's only 2 spots left. And if I had to pick one game from the GBA or the DS, I would pick Dawn of Sorrow. Dawn of Sorrow on the DS was one of my favorite games on the DS. It was such a great game. There were so many different things to do. I loved all the soul collecting in the game as well. It was just such a well done game. There was a ton of replay value in it as well. I thought the storyline was cool. The monsters were cool. The environments were really cool. It was sort of like an extension of Symphony of the Night in terms of gameplay, and I really enjoyed enjoyed that about the game, but you had an all new setting and all new characters for the most part. So I would definitely pick Dawn of Sorrow. It's one of my most played DS games and just a game I really loved. Scott asks, do you have a backup plan for a career in case the YouTube video game craze dies down and doesn't provide enough viable income? And I do, I would probably look at, first and foremost, when I saw things, start going down, I'd probably get a premium Snapchat. That seems to work out well for a lot of chicks. I feel like, I could probably do that, maybe do a little bit of stripping on the side as well. No, I mean, I really don't. I'm very frugal with my money and I save a lot of money, and I'm always sort of looking at other opportunities as well, but I don't really foresee YouTube or the video game craze dying down anytime really soon. So, it's sort of a thing for me where I cross that bridge when I get to it. Obviously, I would sort of see the writing on the wall if it came down to it. But for right now, everything is going good, and I anticipate everything to go good for the foreseeable future. Over on Twitter, Tim asks, how disappointed are you that no Mortal Kombat 11 Switch videos are allowed from PAX? And honestly, I'm pretty disappointed in that. It's a real strange thing to do. It's a real strange decision. Obviously, Mortal Kombat 11 is at PAX East. Ed Boon tweeted out that the Nintendo Switch version was there. I know Nate from Direct Feed Games has actually played it, and he said it played really well. It looked pretty good. It was running at what he felt was 60 frames per second. Everyone that's played it or checked it out on the show floor has said very positive things. It kind of reminds me of the NBA 2K situation with the first iteration of NBA 2K on the Nintendo Switch. There wasn't any real direct feed from that game, and they did allow people to take off-screen footage, but it was sort of hard to tell. It did look pretty good, and then of course the end result of the game was very solid. So I don't know why developers do things like this. I guess maybe they want to put their best foot forward, and the PS4 and the Xbox One version are going to look better than the Nintendo Switch version, so maybe that's what they want to show off. But I don't know, it's a really strange decision in my opinion, and it's just something that doesn't make sense because I feel like a lot of people are interested in the Switch version, myself included. Reagan asks, do you still play games in your free time despite making gaming content as a career? And that's actually a very interesting question. I get that question a lot, and I would say to some degree, yes, but it's definitely not nearly as much as it used to be when either I did YouTube as a hobby or I didn't even do YouTube or writing at all. Obviously, when you're playing games, you have to worry about time management, and it's like, I would love to sit here and play like these random Saturn games all night, but you sort of have to plan to do something like that. You have to make sure you're not doing a review of a game or playing a game to put up a video about it or researching something like that. So it definitely cuts into your time as far as just playing games for enjoyment, but I do enjoy what I do, and it just happens to be what I do is play games and talk about games. So it all ties in together and it all works out really well. But there are nights where I sort of miss just being able to play something just to play it, but I try to incorporate that as much as humanly possible. Daniel asks, been watching your videos for a few months now after Beat 'em Ups Wood referenced you about 3 months back. My question, what TF does RGT stand for? And that's sort of a question that a lot of newer viewers have when they come to the channel. So the original channel name was Retro Gaming Tube 85, and I thought that was a really good name. I was like, it's got tube, like YouTube in it, dude. It's gonna be really good. And then I remember Gilly the Kid, my buddy, was like, you're gonna hate that name in like 6 months. And I was like, why? It's a good name. And he was like, it's too long. It's so hard to say. There's too much to it. You're going to want to change it. And I was like, yeah, whatever. And then I started doing some modern stuff as well. And I started doing more modern stuff because in my mind, like, there's so many retro gaming channels out there. And it's like everyone has already pretty much done everything. And if I wanted to do only retro stuff, I felt like my video output would have been much lower than what it is at now. So I one day just decided to change it to RGT 85, and it just sort of stuck. It allowed for, better branding, I feel, and things like that. So I've been very happy since changing the name, but I do see that question pop up from time to time. That actually popped up several times in this question section, so glad to see that question. But yeah, that's the big secret behind it. And the final question, the one that we of course referenced in the title thumbnail of this video and that I alluded to at the start of this is, should you make a YouTube gaming channel in 2019, and what sort of advice do I have for smaller channels? First and foremost, no, you should not make a YouTube gaming channel in 2019 because really you're going to be cutting in on my spot. You're going to be potentially taking views from me, and I'm not going to stand for that shit. So I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Calm down. No, you should definitely make a YouTube channel, whether it's about gaming or whatever whatever you want it to be about, you know, vlogging your life or vlogging what you talk about or just anything. Like, that's the beauty of YouTube, is there's different levels to YouTube. You know, you could do YouTube just whenever you feel like it. You could try to make something more out of YouTube. You could do whatever you want and talk about any game you want, or just share your opinions on things. And that's the beauty of YouTube. Now, as far as my advice for smaller channels, you know, how you can grow and how you could do things, I think the main important thing is go into YouTube as a hobby. Look at this as a hobby, because I've seen so many people just end up, you know, they get a little bit of growth and then they end up thinking, oh, I could make this work out. You know, I could do this, I could do that. And then when it doesn't happen, they get so disappointed and they just sort of lash out at people. And, you know, they just become these really just weird individuals because they're just sort of angry that it did not work out for them. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I did YouTube for several years as a hobby, and I didn't start considering, you know, a business side of it, a job aspect of it, until it actually was consistently for a few months, you know, getting around the same growth, getting around the same sort of income that was coming in, to where I could start to think maybe I could do this as a job. Maybe I could do this as my full-time thing. When I started YouTube, that was never the goal. The goal was just to make videos, have fun, maybe get some free products from companies to review on the channel, and just, you know, have a good time. But as it continued to grow, then I started to look at it from a business aspect. You have to worry about things like tags. You have to worry about your thumbnails. You have to worry about your titles. You have to do something that sort of sticks out if you want to continue growth. There's nothing wrong with being a hobby channel. I honestly watch a lot of smaller channels. I watch a lot of people who do it as a hobby, but I always just hate to see people that try to make the jump into the full-time aspect when they haven't done enough to really make that sustainable. They haven't really had you know, a long time of success, and they just jump in head first, and then when it doesn't work out, they just get crazy over it. Really, you just have to focus on being you. You know, there's different types of game channels out there. The one thing you have to remember is no matter what sort of video you do, there's a 99.9% chance that there is a video out there that is just like it already. And that may be very discouraging to some people, but that's just what it is. So I feel like personality is very important in YouTube in 2019. I can make a video, Spawnwave can make a video, Wood can make a video. We could all talk about the exact same thing at its core, but then we give our opinions on it. Then we give sort of our insight into it, and 9 times out of 10, all three of us have very different ideas. We have very different opinions, and that's why people watch multiple videos on the same subject, because they want different viewpoints. They want different people's opinions on things. We don't always agree on things, and that's okay. You know, even though a lot of times we're doing sort of similar content, that's okay. You know, you could watch your favorite person's opinion on things. It's just like a news station. You know, do you want just one news station out there? No, you want multiple news stations out there, so you can watch multiple people's takes on the news and then form your own opinions on it. But my biggest advice for doing YouTube in 2019, whether you're starting out a channel or whether you're trying to grow your channel, is do it for yourself. Make videos that you want to make. Yes, it might not be the most popular thing in the world, but if it's a video that you want to make, people will see that you're genuinely interested in the topic. People will see that you're genuinely invested in what you're talking about. There are certain topics that I never really chime in on because I'm not interested in those topics. And I see people getting hundreds of thousands of views talking about certain gaming topics, and I think to myself, you know, it would be nice to get those views. Like, that's good views. But if I don't know what I'm talking about, I look like an idiot, and people could sort of see through that. I feel, you know, I could, whenever I watch someone talking about something that they're not comfortable with or not very familiar with, I could tell, you know, it's sort of like a real recognize real thing. And there's a lot of unfamiliar faces out there. And what ends up happening is I've seen channels build up their growth and build up their fan base on things that maybe they were just sort of riding a trend. And then when that trend ends, they end up just being left out in the dust. You know, their subscriptions go way down, their views go way down, and they just end up with sort of a dead channel. So just always keep it real, man. Always talk about things that you want to talk about, and success will come. Now, don't think that success is defined by maybe being able to do this full time or being like a Logan or Jake Paul and being a multi-millionaire off of YouTube. Success is whatever you want it to be. I just wanted to be able to make videos talking about video games, and if I was able to get some free products out of it and review them on the channel, that was great. I didn't start thinking about the business aspect until things started to really grow and things were very consistent. So just stick with it, man. Have fun and just be real with your audience, and they will show you love back. But that is going to end the AMA. This video probably went a bit longer than I wanted it to, but I guess I had a lot of things to say. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope I answered your questions well enough. I'll do one of these in another month or two, and I'll pick some different questions and we'll talk about different things. But thank you guys for checking out this video. As always, be sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, check out other videos on the channel, and as always, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Later.